What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Caleb's Property Maintenance. So glad you guys took the time to tune into another episode. Alright guys, so this is just going to be the introduction to this one. I'm so stoked about this because I get to pull out my actual nerd card here for a second. We're going to get into some details here, so why don't you guys tell the person that edits these videos to play the intro in 3, 2, 1. Guys, so like I said, I am going to be pulling out my nerd card here. I have the awesome opportunity. One of my customers happens to be my neighbor directly behind me. I've been doing work for him for the last couple of years. He has a weed in his front yard. His front yard is mostly zoysia, but there is some cool season grass as well. Anyway, he has this viney, low-grown weed that is in his front yard, and he decided he wanted to go full out. He's not really into turf to begin with, so I'm not sure why he did this, but he went full out and he got himself a soil test kit from the local extension office here in Pennsylvania, which would be in conjunction with Penn State, so their extension office. And so he decided he was going to take some soil samples and he was going to send that out to the extension office, and then he was going to get the report back of his soil health and what he can do to improve that. So that's actually a really good place to start, and that's where you need to start when trying to grow a better quality turf. So he got the results back, probably, I'm guessing on Saturday he got the results. Today is Monday evening, and so earlier today he met me at the fence and he said, "Hey Caleb, I got the results. Here you go. Would you take a look at them and see what you can figure out? Hopefully you can understand them better than I can." And I said, well, I'll try my best to understand them. So what I want, I actually have them right here in front of me. And so I just want to kind of go through how detailed this is. I don't want to show you too up close here because it's got his personal information and whatnot on. But so it says soil test report 4, gives his name, address, all that kind of stuff, gives the date, gives the lab number, serial number, county. Field ID is going to be the front lawn. He's only concerned about the front lawn. The backyard is really shady. So then the next thing on the paper is soil nutrients levels. So you got the soil pH. His pH is 5.7. So we know that is below optimum. You want somewhere around like a 6.7, 6.9, somewhere in there. So we know that's below. So we're going to have to use our good old friend Mr. Lime to raise that up to the optimum. And then his phosphorus is way above. It's so they give it in kind of like blocks. You can be below optimum in that, then you can be at optimum, you got a range in there, and then you can be above optimum. Well, his is pushed into above optimum, so about maybe a quarter or so of the way into the above optimum box. So his is 91 parts per million. If any of you guys that are real nerds know what that means, I think that's what ppm stands for. I'm taking that's what that means. Then his potassium is 120 parts per million. That is below optimum. That is worse than, if you're comparing the soil pH to the potassium, that is worse than that. So that's really bad. So then it says recommendations for this would be a home lawn to maintain. He's not looking to grow some new seed. I'm sure they would give different advice if you're doing that. And it would be zoysia grass. That's what he put in, as he has the majority zoysia. So the next thing on the paper is limestone. How many pounds per 1,000 square feet? It says 110 pounds of limestone, so apply the quantity of limestone recommended to the left of your soil in a single application unless it exceeds 100 pounds per 1,000. That's very careful. Make sure you understand that. So obviously with his being at 110 pounds per 1,000, it says if the recommendation exceeds 100 pounds per 1,000 square feet, split the recommended amounts into 2 or more separate applications 4 to 6 months apart. Optimum soil pH can be maintained by testing your soil every 2 to 3 years and following limestone recommendations. See additional comments on back of report for adjusting application rates as needed and additional considerations. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. After that, nutrients needs, this would be pounds per 1,000 square feet again, and also for the entire year. So they're recommending 1 to 3 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 for the year, and 2 pounds per 1,000 for the year for the NPK, the third number. So then just explains what that is, and then of course, maintain optimum, retest your soil every 2 to 3 years. And then it says you can do, for a high maintenance program, you can do 2 to 3 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet per year, with the annual amount split into 2 or 3 applications. Might even think about splitting that into 4 applications if I were. We'll see how it plays out. And then the low maintenance program would be 1 to 2 pounds. I definitely would not do that. It needs to have more than that. At the bottom it says it gives all the different, they like broke down the actual the chemical makeup of the way the soil is broken down, and I don't understand. That's the only thing I don't understand is those what those are. Then it says limestone application guidelines, may be applied any time of year. Fall is ideal. Aerating the lawn immediately before or after applying limestone increases its effectiveness. This is especially helpful when application rates exceed 50 pounds per 1,000 square feet, which obviously I will be doing. It won't be much above 50 because I'll try to evenly, so at 110 that would be 55 pounds per 1,000 square feet per application. I'm hoping to do some of this work tomorrow. I want to get right on it because it's only getting colder, not warmer. So if I can get the aeration done, get the lime down, and if I could get an application of fertilizer here, I'll get to that in a minute. That would be really awesome if I could do those 3 things tomorrow. That way it'd be good for the winter. And then it just shows like soil test. It shows how to figure out if your limestone source with the CCE is well below or above 100. Use the following formula to adjust the required amount. I'm guessing that has something to do with the fact that not all the pellets in the limestone are going to either activate in the soil, or all the pellets are not actually what you want to adjust the pH. So some of that is like either filler or just like dust that can't be used. I'm not sure, something like that. So it gives it gives a ratio to figure out what your CCE, as they call it on the bag, if it's less than 100 or more than 100, how to figure out how many pounds per 1,000 square feet to adjust. And then below that, turf grass fertilizer grades. It kind of explains how fertilizer is sold with the NPK numbers, as we all are hopefully familiar with. And so it gives an example. A 50-pound bag of fertilizer with a grade of 30-0-10 contains 15 pounds of nitrogen, no phosphate, and 5 pounds of potash. A 10-pound bag of the same product would yield 3 pounds of nitrogen, no phosphate, and 1 pound of potash. Knowing the fertilizer grade is important in determining which nutrients and the amount of each nutrient are contained in your fertilizer. The majority of lawn maintenance fertilizers are now free of phosphorus, so if your soil test report indicates a need for phosphorus, you can apply a starter fertilizer. Starter fertilizers always contain phosphorus. As we know from the soil test, it does not need phosphorus, so we don't have to do a starter fertilizer. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna base it off the fact, I'm pretty sure they want a 30-0-10 to adjust his potassium, because it just says 1 to 3 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 and 2 pounds of NPK. So that would be potassium. So I'm going to take that as that they want 30-0-10 analysis applied at the recommended rate. And if I do apply, I looked up online, if I do apply it at the recommended rate, I will get 0.9 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet. I'll have to see. I did not take a close look what I would get of potassium, so I'll have to take a look at that. And then the last thing, and with this I'll be done, get the most out of your fertilizer while protecting water resources. This is actually really good. The following are suggestions for maximizing the efficiency of your fertilizer program while minimizing nutrient losses to water resources through leaching and runoff. So here we go. Here are the rules. You Safety Sally guys, listen up here. Here are the rules. Apply nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and limestone according to soil test recommendations. Duh. Do not apply more than is needed, as this may harm turf and contribute to leaching and runoff. Duh. On turf, apply fertilizer in 2 or 3 applications over the growing season so as to meet the needs of your turf at the appropriate time of year, mid to late spring, late summer, and late fall. Late fall fertilizer application should take place around the same time as the last mowing of the season and before the soil freezes. An alternative to late fall fertilization is early spring fertilization application. Fertilizer application. Here we go. When possible, use fertilizers containing some nitrogen in a slowly available form, as either water-insoluble nitrogen, WIN, controlled release nitrogen, CRN, or coated urea. You want to make sure that the fertilizer you're putting down has one of those 3 things in it, and for sure any of those things means that it is slowly available nitrogen. You don't want to just hammer the grass all of a sudden, bam, there's the nitrogen available. You want it to slowly kind of feed at the buffet, if you will, over the course of some time. This information is provided on the fertilizer label, just what I said. Here's another thing. Returning clippings to lawns can cut nitrogen fertilizer use by up to 1/3. I have heard that over and over and over again, and I am definitely a believer in that. You just have to watch out that you're not taking off more than 1/3 of the grass blade if possible. That way your mulched clippings will not snuff out any turf grass by leaving clumping and that kind of stuff. Keep fertilizer on the lawn and not on pavement. Shut off your spreader when moving across driveways or maintenance roads, and blow or sweep granulars from pavement on the turf. In small lawns enclosed by sidewalks and driveways, use a drop spreader for greater accuracy. Do not apply fertilizer to lawns under summer dormancy or frozen surfaces in the winter. Fill and empty. Aha! Here's a big one. Listen up. Fill and empty fertilizer spreaders in an area where spills can easily be cleaned up. Use your spilled fertilizer. Do not wash it into the street or storm sewers. And then it's Penn State, whatever, website. Soil should be retested in 2 to 3 years to determine limestone requirements and nitrogen needs. So this is an ongoing thing, guys. As you know, we're just maintaining as best as we can do. So I just wanted to kind of read that over for you guys so you guys get an idea. I actually am considering doing this for our own yard. I have never done any soil testing whatsoever. So I'm definitely considering doing that, maybe in the spring, something like that. We'll see how how much time I have and whatnot. But so I just want to give you guys this as a little introduction to what's going to be happening on the other half. I'm going to be aerating the front lawn, which you will see. And I will be for sure putting on the lime, and if I can go to the dealer where I found that 30010, and if they have that fertilizer, I'll be picking that up and we'll be putting that whole thing down, and then the customer is prepared to water everything in. And so that's what's gonna happen, and hopefully that will all work out, because we're not no rain is in the near forecast, and the rain that is in the forecast, just like showers, 40%, so not good as far as that goes. So they are going to be watering it in, so that will take care of it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this introduction, and we'll see you on the flip side outside.